Welcome to Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix. And, like in Jeddah, the pole sitter has dropped a bombshell on their team. And the pole sitter here is Max Verstappen. He has announced that he is moving to Ferrari to replace Charles Leclerc for 2025. Well, what a bombshell that is. So, it's been a great run for Max and Red Bull, but whatever happens this season, that will be the end of it. And Max will move on, clearly needing a fresh challenge. Verstappen and Perez on the front row for Red Bull, so clearly setting Red Bull up well for this race. Oscar Piastri third in the McLaren. Lando Norris, he has announced this week that he will be staying with McLaren for next year. So there is some continuity there for them. Carlossainz fifth on the grid. Lewis Hamilton sixth. The Mercedes pair. Mercedes have announced nothing yet. Charles Leclerc seventh. We still don't know where he's going to go next year. But of course there is a seat definitely open at Red Bull now. So Yuki Tsunoda, what a performance from him. Starting in 8th place. He'll be hoping to score some good points today. Maybe even build on where he starts if things go his way in the race. George Russell, disappointing session down in 9th. Fernando Alonso we see there in 12th place. So he will be hoping for a lot more from the race. Then we've got Ricciardo in 13th. Nowhere near able to match his teammate. Stroll in 14th. Then Albon, Gasly, Sargent, Guan Yu Zhou, and then Esteban Ocon and Valtteri Bottas rounding out the grid. Let's see, we've had each of the big four teams win a race so far this year. Is somebody going to get a second, and who will it be? So here we go then. Max Verstappen preparing to get away from the grid. He's got his teammate to his right-hand side, and then two McLarens behind him. Let's see, the lights are now going out, and Max gets away well. You can see one of the Ferraris has made a decent start as well on that side. Verstappen leads into turn one, but it's Oscar Piastri who makes his way past Perez and has a look at Max Verstappen. Piastri looking very, very racy. Is that McLaren going to be just as quick as they were in Melbourne, having had a very disappointing race last time out in Suzuka? They would love to get right back up there, and Piastri is the guy who represents the opportunity. And there's a Ferrari. Leclerc ahead of Norris, and Norris almost gets slammed into the back by Hamilton. Lewis just getting onto the brakes in time. Alonso up in the 10th place. So there we go. Perez hunting down Piastri, trying to get that position back. Piastri has lost ground to Max, so there is maybe a little bit of encouragement for Red Bull that McLaren do not seem to have that pace they initially looked like having off the line. Piastri is under pressure in Perez, and Hamilton going down the inside of Norris. They touch, but Lewis Hamilton is through. Clearly, McLaren are struggling for race pace. Lando Norris drops behind the Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton up in a 5th place. Perez now coming down for a look at Oscar Piastri as they come down to the hairpin. Verstappen leads. Piastri still going. There's an engine going in the background for Fernando Alonso, still running. I don't think he's going to be able to make the end of that race. Perez having a look at Piastri, and is he going to be able to make it through? He's going to be the outside. Piastri defending the line, going to get his elbows out, and he's really getting his elbows out, making sure that there is no pathway at all for Sergio Perez there. Lewis Hamilton closing up on Charles Leclerc. He clearly feels good in that car today, and he wants to have a good go at that. Sainz, we understand Sainz is stuck in gear, so Carlos Sainz can't buy any luck this season, can he? He's only got 1 point on the board, and it doesn't look like he's going to get another one here. And Fernando Alonso, similarly, is struggling with that engine thing. Even though he's keeping running, he's going to be down on power if he does finish the race. He's not going to get in the points either, very unlikely. So both Alonso and Sainz out of the running. Piastri still in second, holding ground to Max at the moment, but not threatening. And then Perez behind, still hoping to get a view back past that McLaren. So Hamilton and Leclerc behind. The race is now starting to steady itself out a bit. Although Piastri is now coming back towards Max Verstappen a little bit. Will he be able to take a first win? He's going to have a look, and Max cuts off the ground, and that won't hamstring Piastri against Perez. Piastri is actually the guy on the attack now as we get towards the end of the race. Hamilton is keeping the watching brief, but I think it's going to be hard for him to move any further forward. There's Kevin Magnussen in 10th. Both Hasses, I think, in the points. So really good going for them. And in fact, Tsunoda is struggling. He's got Hulkenberg coming at him. Tsunoda, I think, was up in the 7th place. Look at Hamilton. Piastri was hoping to have a look at Verstappen in the end. Has to make that move to defend from Perez. Verstappen, he'll come through, and surely this will be the first two-time winner of the season. It'll be Max Verstappen, the world champion, going across the line and winning the race On the weekend, he's confirmed he's moving to Ferrari. Max Verstappen is still doing the job for Red Bull, showing that he remains committed to them throughout the rest of the season. Max Verstappen with the win. Oscar Piastri, career best so far, or equal best, I think. Second place. Sergio Perez in third. So at least he's got a bit of a solid run going. So there was 1 point when Perez was like Sainz and had no points on the board. Hamilton, fourth place, as good as Mercedes could do. So there we go. Verstappen wins. Piastri second. Sergio Perez finishes third. Lewis Hamilton, like we say, doing as good a job as the Mercedes could possibly deliver, really. Fourth place. Managed to pass Charles Leclerc in the race. So at least they will feel good against Ferrari. And Max Verstappen, he'll know he's going into a challenge next season, but he's got to have made that decision for some reason. He's in one of the best cars on the grid, and he's going to the team that's, well, currently sitting in fourth in the Constructors' Championship. So he knows there's work to do, but I think perhaps like when Michael Schumacher went there in 1996, Max will have the appetite to do that work. Charles Leclerc, fifth place, then Lando Norris, sixth. His McLaren really didn't seem to have any race pace, and he dropped behind not just Hamilton but Leclerc as well. Nico Hülkenberg came through to seventh in the closing stages as Yuki Tsunoda had a bit of trouble with his car and started to drop off the pace. George Russell managed to get past Tsunoda in spite of having an anonymous race. Takes 4 points. That's very disappointing for the guy who won the last race to not be even in the mix this weekend. And eighth is, not where George wants to be. But he's picked up 4 points and he'll hope to be stronger again when we go to Miami next time out. Yuki Tsunoda finishes ninth in the end, so still picks up a couple of points. But from his qualifying position, he would have been hoping for a little bit more. He'd have been hoping for that seventh place. But it's going to have to do him, I suppose. And Kevin Magnussen gets double points for Haas, finishing in 10th place. So, not terrible for Haas there. The Drivers' Championship sees Max Verstappen leading it on 98 points. He is 38 ahead of Oscar Piastri now. Piastri is up into second. Will he have a chance to fight for that World Championship? We should have to wait and see. Russell, 3 points behind Piastri. Leclerc, 2 behind him. Lando Norris, 4 behind Leclerc. So it's all very tight in the battle for second. And maybe we'll see a situation this year where Max wins the championship, not through being consistently the fastest, but because everyone behind him can't decide who wants to be the main challenger. Sergio Perez, 6th in the championship. He's on 42. Lewis Hamilton on 36 now. Lance Stroll on 31. Tsunoda 23. Hülkenberg 16. Alonso still on 11. Ocon 8. Ricciardo 6. Magnussen 5. Gasly 2. Bottas 2. Zhou 1. And Sainz still on 1. The Constructors' Championship, Red Bull on 140. McLaren 111. Mercedes 93. Ferrari 56. Aston Martin 42. RB 29. Haas 21. Alpine 10. And Sauber 3. Well, that was a good race. This season continues to unfold, and I think it's going to have twists and turns throughout, so we're going to have to keep watching every race to see what happens. Next up is Miami. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and take care.